And we got some paperwork today. Today we have none other than a THF affiliate, Lil Tony, a THF affiliate, Lil Tony, and I'll be remiss if I didn't say rest in peace to Lil Tony. All right. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button because we will be dropping more videos. I have some more incident reports and, of course, some more paperwork to read through and to bring that content out to you guys. So you definitely want to turn your notifications on, because that's how you can get in contact with me pretty easily. If you want to join the premieres, I'll be in majority of all my premieres for the case reads. If you want to ask any questions, you could pop up there. All right, and definitely hit the like button, as that gets my videos out and circulating to new viewers and potentially new subscribers. So that's huge. So thank you guys for already being here with me and watching this video. You guys are so dope, and thank you for the support. All right, we're going to jump into this, and this is a Chicago Police Department original case incident report for the first document. And we have about 28 pages or so to read through, so we'll get to that. All right, this is a homicide, first-degree murder. The occurrence date is July 16th, 2011, 13:10 through July 16th, 2011, 13:12, 100 hours. All right, and we have family member notified is redacted. Victim, individual, a Tony McCoy, male, black, 6 feet 3, 180 pounds, brown eyes, black hair, natural hairstyle, medium brown complexion, age about 20 years. So 20 years old. Witness, we have one witness here, a male, black, 5 feet 8, 165 pounds, brown eyes, black hair, braids hairstyle, medium brown complexion, age 24. All right, we have the victim injuries. Injury extent is fatal. Is a gunshot. Handgun was the weapon used. A semi-automatic with a large clip. Excuse me. We have a suspect 1, male, black, 5 feet 8, 155 pounds, black hair, short hairstyle. Suspected of using the weapon. Unknown name. All right, and there is no relationship to the offender, victim-offender relations. All right, and we're here at a narrative. We'll read through this. All right. In summary, responding officers responded to shots fired at 47th and Woodlawn, and on arrival found male, black, face down, facing south in driveway, totally unresponsive, with blood streaming from gunshot wound to back 3 and 1 gunshot wound to head. CFD ambulance number 57 attempted CPR, but no response was pronounced via telemetry. Dr. White of University of Chicago at 13:18 hours. Further investigation revealed 6 shell casings in driveway and cell phone. Also, witness redacted related that approximately 2 days ago, Victor McCoy was involved in an altercation with male blacks at redacted, but unable to ascertain if this was related, but did say that the victim was known to gangbang, but he didn't know with whom. Bystanders related that a light blue Sebring was vehicle used, redacted, which offender got out of, ran towards victim, no words said, and began to shoot, Victim fell. Offender ran up, and while victim was on ground, shot again, ran back the vehicle, which sped eastbound on 47th Street. Tour of area by responding units was to no avail. And we have all the personnel listed to be at the homicide crime scene. The next document we have is a case supplementary report. It is a morgue report. And for the homicide, first-degree murder, location was a driveway. And, of course, we know the date of occurrence. This was submitted on July 26, 2011 at 07:13 hours. All right, this is a field investigation morgue report. We have, of course, the victims, a Tony McCoy Jr. And we know his demographics. We have a suspect that they have some demographics for. Name is unknown, male, black, 16 to 19 years. Description, 5 feet 8, 155 pounds, black hair, short hairstyle. wearing a dark hoodie. All right. So they do have some description of the suspect to go off of. Okay, we have an automobile that seems to be used in this crime. Vehicle is a 2008 Chrysler Sebring hardtop four-door. All right, we have transported to morgue. We have vehicle info. Automobile 2008 Chrysler Sebring hardtop four-door offender's vehicle. Year 2008. Color top blue. Blue. Description burned. Possessor user offender. The vehicle was seized. Location found is a Cottage Grove. All right. Reason stolen, burned. So this vehicle is stolen and burned. All right. We have motive codes, undetermined. Cause codes, DNA. Method code, person shot. All right. Vehicles taken as evidence: a 2008 Chrysler Sebring hardtop four-door. And this is the burned vehicle. Vehicle recovered. Witnesses. We have a female black 37. We have a male black 24. We have a male black 48, which might be a family member. Female black 51. Person interviewed non-witness. Male white Hispanic 46. And a male black 57. All right, and we have some incident notifications, and now we are at an investigation. On July 17th, 2011, Dr. Filkins performed an autopsy on the remains of Tony McCoy and determined the cause and manner of death to be multiple gunshot wounds / homicide. External examination: gunshot wound number 1 lodged posterior mid right head. Number 2 lodged mid right back. Number 3 enter mid left back, exit upper right chest. Number 4 enter lower left back, exit mid right chest. Internal examination: 2 medium caliber copper jacketed bullets recovered. All right, and we're getting down to the next document. We have an exceptionally clear close other exceptional document in a case supplementary report. And this was submitted on June 17th, 2020 at 10:36 hours. All right, and we have listed number of victims 1, number of offenders 2. Hate crime no. They believe it's not fire related or gang related or domestic related. All right, this is a field investigation, exceptionally clear closed other exceptional report. We have a 1 victim, Tony McCoy Jr. And suspect's name now redacted, male black 17. Description: 5'8", 155 pounds, black hair, short hairstyle. Item used: weapon, wearing dark hoodie. Gang information: listed criminal organization, Mickey Cobra. Gang identifiers: blank. Male black years. Guess this is another offender potentially. Organization: Mickey Cobra. Gang information: criminal organization, Mickey Cobra. Gang identifiers: victim / witness statement. All right, so they have 2 suspects now. All right. This is more of the vehicle information. That's some evidence. A recovered vehicle. Other individuals involved. Additional victim, male black 24. Family member. Person interviewed, white Hispanic male 46. Person interviewed, male black 57. All right, we have some incident notifications. We have an investigation, exceptionally clear, closed, other exceptional supplement case report. Date and time, Saturday, July 16, 2011 at 13:35 hours. Victim, McCoy Tony Jr., a.k.a. Little Tony. Additional victim, gang affiliation denied. Offender, due to Chris limitations, pre-filled forms, unable to change suspect to offender. We have redacted address, gang affiliation, Young Money Mickey Cobras. We have another offender, due to Chris limitations, pre-filled forms, unable to change suspect to offender. This individual's gang affiliation is Young Money Mickey Cobra as well. This individual's date of birth year is 94, and this one is 93. And we have injuries: 1 gunshot wound to back of head, lodged; 3 gunshot wounds to the back, 2 lodged, 1 through and through. Pronounced at scene by Dr. White at 13:18 hours. All right, he was taken to the medical examiner's office. All right, location of the homicide. We have a manner, motive, weather and lighting: sunny, hot, humid, bright, and daylight. Manner and motive: victim shot multiple times by offender / probable gang related. Identified by a female, black, 52, mother of victim. Vehicle used: 2008 Chrysler Sebring 4-door blue, 2 Illinois plate, taken in an armed robbery under RD number listed, cleared open on July 16, 2011 at 0100 hours, recovered at 3600 South Iron on July 16th at 16:30 hours, towed to Pound 4 for further investigation. And they have some evidence here, some blood swabs, 3 clear plastic packets of crushed green plant recovered from right rear pocket of victim. 6 expended 9mm Luger cartridge cases recovered from sidewalk, grass, and driveway. All right, and they have some interviewed peoples that are all redacted. And we have an investigation here. Area Central detectives were assigned to this investigation on Saturday, July 16, 2011 at 13:35 hours by Sergeant Ortega of Area 1. The detectives were informed that a subject had been shot at Woodlawn and 47th Streets, and the originally assigned detective proceeded to that location. The address of the incident is 11 redacted East 47th Street, a driveway of the Greenwood Park Apartments. The driveway runs north/south between the 2-story apartment complexes in the block of 11 redacted East 47th Street. The area consists of similar 2-story apartment complexes on the south side of 47th Street, and there are businesses on the north side. A large crowd was gathered around the scene, and the victim's redacted, who was in the crowd, identified the victim as her son, Tony McCoy Jr. The driveway was cordoned off with red tape at both the south end and north entrance, and the street was cordoned off with red tape approximately 20 feet east and west of the driveway. The victim was lying face down, head to the south, feet to the east, approximately 25 feet from 47th Street. The victim was wearing a white t-shirt, gray boxers, black shorts, white socks, and black slippers, one of which had fallen off of the victim's foot. The victim's t-shirt was stained with blood, and there was blood pooling to the east of the victim's head. A broken red cell phone was on the ground near the victim, and scattered around the victim were 6 expended shell casings. Per redacted, the broken red cell phone belonged to the victim. CFD Ambulance 57 had arrived on the scene earlier, found the victim was deceased, and covered him with a white blanket. The paramedics contacted the University of Chicago Hospital, and Dr. White pronounced the victim at 13:18 hours. Responding officers informed the detectives that witnesses related a blue Chrysler Sebring vehicle had stopped near the driveway where the victim and his friend, witness redacted, had been walking. A male 1 exited the vehicle and fired multiple shots at the victim, who ran but fell in the driveway. Redacted was able to flee without injury. The male 1 then re-entered the Sebring, which fled east on 47th Street. The responding officers also related an anonymous citizen called 911 and provided Illinois license plate number redacted for the Sebring. Per the 911 dispatcher, the vehicle had been reported stolen on July 16th at 0100 hours from 1210 East 52nd Street after it had been taken in an armed robbery under RD number listed. Reporting detectives learned that this case has been cleared open with the arrest of redacted on October 12, 2011, and him subsequently being released without charge after victims failed to cooperate. Redacted has associations with the Young Money Mickey Cobras, but none were with the identified offenders in this investigation. The victim's mother, Redacted, told the detectives that McCoy Jr. lived with her at Redacted. Redacted stated that McCoy Jr. had left the apartment about half an hour before the shooting and met up with his friend, Redacted, out in front of the complex. Redacted stated that she did not know where they had gone and did not witness the shooting. The assigned detectives interviewed Redacted, who related the following. Redacted said he and McCoy were coming from 47th and Lake Park and were walking west on 47th Street from Woodlawn towards McCoy's address. As they neared the driveway, Redacted saw a blue Sebring four-door vehicle coming east on 47th Street and stopped at the driveway. Redacted observed 3 or more individuals in the vehicle, but only the rear seat passenger jumped out and started shooting. Both Redacted and McCoy ran southbound into the driveway, and the offender followed and continued to shoot. Redacted said he ran until the shooting stopped, then came back and saw McCoy was on the ground. Redacted described the shooter as a male 1, 19 to 20, 5 feet 8, 165 pounds, low-cut wave hairstyle with a medium complexion. Redacted could not describe any of the other occupants. The detective spoke with witness Redacted at her residence, and she related the following. Redacted was walking with her toddler son in the same direction as McCoy and Redacted, whom she did not know. Redacted stated that she stopped near the fire hydrant at Redacted to answer her cell phone. She saw a blue car pull up to the driveway. Redacted said a male 1 jumped out of the car with a gun in his hand. She said the male 1 raised his arm and began to shoot. Redacted said she grabbed her son and dove into the bushes. She said the 2 young men ran into the driveway and she saw the shooter follow. She stated that one of the young men had fallen into the driveway and she saw the shooter, one of the young men had fallen and the male 1 shooter walked up to him and shot him again. The offender then went back to the car, which fled east on 47th Street. Redacted described the shooter as a male 1, 17 through 19, and wearing a black or dark hoodie. She stated to the detectives that the shooter seemed to target just the one victim. Redacted told the detectives that a CTA bus had been behind the offender's vehicle during the shooting. The detectives contacted the CTA bus barn at 74th and Wood Street and spoke with transportation manager Redacted about the possibility of retrieving any recorded video from that bus, which did not remain on the scene. Redacted said he would try to determine the bus number to pull the hard drive and would then recontact the detectives. The crime lab was notified and BT 5802 arrived to process the scene with listed evidence recovered. GSSP was notified and transported the victim to the medical examiner's office. Excuse me. The victim's father, Redacted, arrived on the scene and related 2 days ago on July 14, 2011, a female 1 known to him only as Redacted came to Redacted where he is employed and threatened his son. Redacted said 5 years ago McCoy Jr. took Redacted bike. Redacted gave the bike back to Redacted and had given Redacted money as an apology. There had been no problem since that he was aware of, until 2 days ago when Redacted approached him at Redacted. Redacted told Redacted that if his son did not leave her son, Redacted, alone, his son would end up dead. Redacted was told of this incident by Redacted, and Redacted told the detectives that Redacted lived in one of the apartments in the Redacted. Neither could provide any further information for Redacted. The detectives learned from the 021 district beat officers that a subject named Tony had been approaching male ones from the area, attempting to recruit them into a gang, and this was brought up at a recent CAPS meeting. The detective contacted the 021 district CAPS office and left messages to determine if this could be verified. The detective spoke with Redacted, the owner of the BP gas station at Redacted, to see if any video was available that would assist in this investigation. Redacted told the detectives that his employee, Redacted, was the only one who knew how to work this video security system, and he would be available at 1400 hours on Sunday, July 17, 2011. The detectives found no pod or additional business cameras in the vicinity of the shooting and were ultimately unable to secure video from the BP gas station. The Chrysler Sebring has already been entered into leads as stolen and taken in an armed robbery under LDS number Redacted. The detectives wanted to add on the information that the vehicle had been used in this homicide. At 1620 hours, the detectives contacted the lead's desk and were informed that the vehicle had been burned and recovered at 1613 hours on this date. Per the lead's desk, the Sebring had been located at 64 Redacted South Cottage Grove and towed to RSI Inc. at 36 Redacted Iron Street. The detectives proceeded to that location and learned that the vehicle had been parked behind a residential building at 64 Redacted South Cottage Grove. The tow driver, Redacted, told the detectives that there was an attempt to burn the vehicle. When Redacted arrived at the Cottage Grove address, he found the vehicle doors locked, the interior damaged by smoke and by water, by information to his dispatcher, and hooked the vehicle. While en route to 36 Redacted South Iron, Redacted was informed the vehicle had been reported stolen. Once he arrived at the tow lot with the vehicle, police were called to recover it. BT 922 was assigned to recover the vehicle but delayed the recovery pending notification of the owner. At this time, BT 922 prepared a tow report so the vehicle could be towed to Auto Pound 4 for further examination and recovery of any evidence. Detective Garza from Area 1 assisted the assigned detectives in following the vehicle to Pound 4 while the detectives relocated to 64 Redacted South Cottage Grove. The detectives learned BT 314 had been called to the scene, as was CFD. After the car fire was extinguished, a tenant of the building ordered the tow from RSI, the company that tows illegally parked in the residential parking area. The detectives contacted Redacted, who initially requested the tow. RSI Inc. provided Redacted's information to the detectives. Redacted said he has a barber shop on the first floor at 64 Redacted South Cottage Grove. Above the shop are apartments, and one of the tenants contacted him about a car parked in the rear of the building. He was told CPD and CFD were at the scene and the car was smoking and blocking the garage. He instructed the tenant to contact the tow company and listed on the sign posted behind the building. RSI Inc. said he then went to the address, but fire and police personnel had already gone. Had nothing further to add. The detectives canvassed the apartments at 64 Redacted South Cottage Grove, but these attempts were met with negative results. The detectives learned via the 911 dispatcher a citizen caller related the offenders from the vehicle had relocated to the corner of 65th and Cottage Grove near a laundromat. Although no one was on that corner when the detectives arrived, the detectives observed pod camera on the southeast corner where the laundromat is located. The detectives later requested video from this pod. The detectives contacted the owner of the Chrysler Sebring, Redacted, and told her of the vehicle recovery. The detectives asked if Redacted would sign a consent to search for the vehicle for evidence. Redacted agreed to this, and the detectives met with her at her address on July 16, 2011 at 1845 hours. The detectives also spoke with Redacted, who along with two of his friends were victims in the robbery in which the Chrysler was taken. Redacted stated that he and his friends were approached by three male wanted a gun at Redacted, and he, Redacted, grabbed the gun to try and take it away. The subject then began to pistol whip Redacted on the head and face. Redacted said this individual and one of the offenders were armed, and his cell phone and keys were taken. The two other victims also had property taken. The offenders then fled in the Chrysler. Redacted said he did not think he could identify any of the offenders because it was so dark. The detectives had attempted to contact the other two victims but were met with negative results at this time. On July 17, 2011, Sergeant Hill contacted the assigned detective. Sergeant Hill stated that while at Redacted, he was approached by Redacted. Redacted asked about the shooting on 47th Street, 47th. Sergeant McNeil told Sergeant Hill she was the bus driver on 47th Street when the shooting occurred. The detective spoke with Redacted via telephone, and she related the following. Redacted was driving the bus number 1737, traveling eastbound on 47th Street, and stopped at the red light at Ellis. The light turned green, and she proceeded east to the stop sign at Greenwood. Redacted said she heard shooting and ducked down. She stated that she observed a male with a gun run to a car that was up ahead of the bus as she continued east towards Woodline. She looked to her right and saw a male on the ground. She did not pull over to contact police or a CTA dispatcher. She stated that on the westbound return trip on 47, she observed police at the scene, but she did not stop and kept on her route. The detectives recontacted CTA Transportation Manager Redacted with the bus number and driver information, and he said he had already determined both and was getting video from bus number 1737. On July 17, 2011, Detective Minnelli spoke with Redacted, who called Area 1 and wanted to provide information about this homicide, because the victim was her friend. Redacted stated that Redacted, another friend of hers, told her that he knew who the shooter was, and he said it was Redacted that Redacted was bragging to him about the incident. Detective Minnelli asked Redacted to come to Area 1 and bring Redacted for an interview. On July 18, 2011, the detectives received 2 DVDs of video from Pod 645, which had been requested on July 16, 2011. The video was reviewed and 1 copy was inventoried while another copy was kept with this homicide file. On July 18, 2011, the detectives met with Crime Lab at Pound 4 to examine the Chrysler for any evidence. The detectives noticed strong odors of smoke and gasoline coming from the vehicle. The vehicle had fire and water damage to the interior, and water had pooled on the floors. The victim's keys were found in the vehicle and later returned to him. BT 5802 photographed and searched the vehicle and swabbed the rear door handle and the car key fob. During the earlier interview with Redacted concerning the Chrysler, Redacted told the detectives when the vehicle was taken, the gas tank was almost empty and the fuel gauge read less than a quarter of a tank. The detectives noticed the fuel gauge was now on E, and apparently no gas had been added to the tank since the vehicle was taken in the robbery. On July 18, 2011, the detective spoke with 021 District Caps Sergeant Ford, who related on July 15, 2011, an anonymous citizen contacted her with a complaint of drug and gang recruitment in the Greenwood Park Apartments complex. The citizen said 6 male ones surrounded her 18-year-old son and tried to recruit him into the 4-6 terror gang. One male one, named Tony, pulled a .45 caliber silver and black handgun out and threatened to shoot her son. The citizen described Tony as a male 21 to 22, 5'7 to 5'9", 170 to 180 pounds with a light complexion, dreadlock hairstyle, and tattoos on his neck and arms. The citizen said these subjects have also approached her 14-year-old son to join the 4-6 gang, and on July 14, 2011, shots were fired in the area by these gang members. Sergeant Ford asked the citizen to attend the next CAPS meeting to talk with her about this. Sergeant Ford stated the meeting was held, but no one approached her with this complaint. Sergeant Ford reported the complaint under community concern number listed and later provided a copy of the complaint to the detective. On July 18, 2011, the detectives went to the SSA office at 63 Redacted South Cottage Grove to determine if the outside security cameras at the address had captured the Chrysler or offenders either before or after the vehicle was dropped at 64 Redacted South Cottage Grove. Per operations, Supervisor Redacted, the camera's view do not reach past the facility parking lot. The detectives went to 64 Redacted South Cottage Grove to interview the residents of the building. The detectives noted the three flat building has addresses of 64 Redacted and 64 Redacted South Cottage Grove, and all the apartments have open rear porches and share a common rear stairwell. The detective spoke with Redacted resident Redacted, who related the following. Redacted stated that she was putting a fan in a rear window of her apartment when she observed a blue car parked at the rear of her building. She said 4 male 1 subjects were standing around it, with 2 standing at the open passenger doors of the car. She described these 2 as follows: male 1 wearing a navy blue Aeropostale shirt with Aeropostale spelled out in 3 lines on the shirt, with the first line in white lettering. 2, male 1, 17 to 20, heavyset, with dreadlocks and no shirt. Redacted said she heard a noise like an explosion, and the male ones ran southbound down the alley. She said the car started smoking, but she could not call 911 because she did not have a phone. Redacted said she thought that her neighbor called 911, but she was not sure. The detectives were met with negative results at the other apartments. On July 18, 2011, Redacted contacted the detectives about the bus video, which was ready, and the detectives met with Redacted at 74th Street CTA Garage. The detectives reviewed the video retrieved from bus number 1737 for July 16, 2011. The video shows the bus stopped and facing east at the red light at Ellis when the blue Chrysler is seen traveling north on Ellis, then turn right to eastbound on 47th Street. The bus gets the green light and moves east towards Greenwood, where it stops at a stop sign. At this time, the Chrysler is seen stopped near the driveway and a subject gets out. The subject gets back into the Chrysler, which travels east. As the bus continues east and nears the driveway at 11 Redacted East 47th, the victim is seen lying on the pavement. The bus continues on to Woodlawn, where several passengers disembark. The bus then continues east on 47th Street. The DVD video was later inventoried under inventory number listed. On July 18, 2011, Sergeant Kowinski called Area 1 after he and police officer were flagged down in the 021 district by Redacted, says she saw the shooting on 47th Woodlawn, and the detectives contacted her via telephone for an interview. Redacted stated that she was at the BP Amoco station on 47th and Woodlawn, pumping gas for her car. She stated that she was looking around, as she always does, and observed the shooting. Redacted stated that the victim had walked from the gas station across 247th Street. She said that she saw a silver or gray car being driven by a male 1 with a light complexion and a low fade hairstyle. Redacted said a male 1, 19 to 20, 5 feet 4 to 5'5", 170 to 185 pounds, dark complexion, and braided hair pulled back, got out of the front passenger door. Redacted said that she observed this individual shoot at the victim, striking the victim in the head, and she saw the victim put his hands to his face and fall. Redacted said the shooter ran up to the victim as he laid on the ground and shot him at least 2 more times. The offender then got back into the car, which fled east on 47th Street. Redacted said she drove away from the scene but came back and saw the victim on the ground. Redacted did not talk with the police on the scene because she was afraid. Redacted decided to call police today, and said she believes she can identify the offender. Redacted came to Area 1 on July 18, 2011 for an interview, but without Redacted, Detective Manelli spoke with Redacted, who related she dated the victim in 2009. Redacted said a mutual friend, Redacted, whom she has known for a year, told her a male 1 associated with the Young Money street gang was the shooter. Redacted told Redacted that he had spoken with Redacted the same day of the shooting and that Redacted was bragging about doing it. Redacted gave Redacted last name as Redacted and said he was thinking about going to the police with the information, but he was afraid. Shanice Redacted identified IR Redacted photo of Redacted as the Redacted who told her about Redacted. Redacted says she does not know Redacted and would be unable to identify him. Learned that on July 20th, 2011, 021 District Cap Sergeant Ford was contacted by Redacted, the victim's mother, after a note had been slipped under her door by an anonymous person. Sergeant Ford contacted Area 1, Sergeant McGovac, who requested the note be copied and the original be inventoried. Sergeant Ford and police officers went to retrieve the note from Redacted, which was later inventoried in 021 under inventory number listed. A copy of the note is part of this file, and it states the following. Gang name, Young Money, hangs out around 51st and Drexel. Shooter name, Redacted, 18 years old, wears short twists. He just got out of jail, about 5 feet 8, builded body. The driver was redacted. Light skin, 5'8", wear short twist hair. They was looking for Tone, friend they into a fight with. Young Money got a war with the 4-6. Tone had nothing to do with it. On July 20th, 2011, detectives and Cassell Jr. were contacted by CPD OCD police officers Duke Jr., who had Redacted in custody on a charge unrelated to this homicide. The detectives were told Redacted said he had information concerning this homicide. Then there's a redaction block after that. The victim's father, Redacted, had earlier told the detectives about an incident with Redacted, and the detectives conducted a CPD computer check for any reports relating to this. The detectives found a report HT listed dated July 14, 2011, in which Greenwood Park Complex resident Redacted reported an aggravated assault to her son, Redacted. In this report, Redacted was assaulted by Tony, male 118 to 20, 6'4", 140 pounds, brown complexion and dreadlocks, and an unnamed male 118 to 26 feet, 150 pounds, light complexion and dreadlocks. Tony and the unknown subject approached Redacted and told him, "If you're going to be around here, you're going to have to roll with us." The two then asked Redacted, who was he with? And Redacted told the two he was not into that. The unnamed offender then displayed a silver handgun and pointed it at Redacted, which was observed by Redacted. Redacted put herself between the offender and her son and told the offender he would have to shoot her too. But after seeing the other citizens in the area, the offenders just walked away. The detectives wanted to determine if this Tony is also the victim of this homicide. On July 21st, 2011, Area 1 detectives attempted to locate and interview Redacted via telephone calls and voicemail messages, but this was met with negative results. The detectives were aware that numerous calls were made to 911 on July 16, 2011 concerning this homicide. On July 21st, Detective Lutzow and Manelli attempted to contact several of the callers to see if any could provide further information. These detectives spoke with one of the callers, Redacted, who related the following. Redacted said he was walking westbound on 47th Street, coming from 48th Street near the library. Redacted said he was at the Amoco gas station when he saw a blue car coming eastbound. The blue car stopped and a subject exited the passenger side of the vehicle. Redacted said this subject had a big semi-automatic pistol in his hand, and Redacted heard at least 6 gunshots. Redacted said he saw the victim start to run, but he only took about 3 steps before he fell to the ground. Redacted said the guy with the gun stood over the victim and shot the victim in the head before he calmly walked back to the blue car, which drove off eastbound on 47th Street. On July 24th, 2011, the detectives went to Greenwood Park apartment complex to locate and interview Redacted. The detectives spoke with one of the maintenance workers who told them that he believed the Redacted. The detectives went to the address but were met with negative results. 2019 investigation. On November 6, 2019, while assigned to the HIDTA jail intelligence team, reporting detective Matthews interviewed a Cook County jail inmate by the name of Redacted regarding numerous homicides in the 002nd District, Hyde Park, and Washington Park neighborhoods. And there's a big redaction block. It says both homicides remain open. Through research, reporting detectives learned that the McCoy homicide is documented under RD number listed and occurred on July 16, 2011. Reporting detectives learned that the assigned detectives Servin and Wright were both retired and the other assisting detectives were unable to remember the incident. Reporting detectives requested to be assigned this homicide on December 12, 2019. Reporting detectives read through all of the reports and determined to re-interview the eyewitness. On November 26, 2019, reporting detectives located the witness Redacted at her residential address of Redacted. Redacted stated that she recalled the incident and essentially gave the same story she had given to the previous investigating detectives. She described the offender shooting at the victim and the victim falling, and then the offender walked towards the victim while he was on the ground and shot him some more. Redacted stated that she got a pretty good look at the offender and she'd never forget his face. Redacted was shown a photo array and she positively identified both Redacted and Redacted. Redacted and Redacted as the individuals she observed involved in shooting the victim and driving away. Reporting detectives asked if she had observed anyone else in the vehicle, and she stated that she wasn't certain. She was only sure about the shooter and the driver. Reporting detectives confronted Miss Branch with the fact that in the previous statement she had given, the individual she described as the shooter matched the description of redacted, who she was now alleging to be the driver. And the driver she described in her original interview matches the description of redacted, the individual who she now alleges to be the shooter. Redacted stated that her recollection was accurate and that she previously assigned detective had made that the previously assigned detective had made a mistake and mixed up what she had told him. She had nothing else to add, and reporting detectives terminated the interview. The photo array was inventoried under inventory number listed. Reporting detectives was able to interview redacted after he called reporting detectives via telephone number. Redacted agreed to meet reporting detectives for an interview on December 9th, 2019 at Redacted stated that he had known the victim for years and considered him like a young brother. He stated that he wasn't really into the gang stuff. He was just a hustler trying to make money. He stated that when the shooting began, he got a good look at the shooter because of how abruptly the vehicle stopped. That grabbed his attention. He saw the offender exit, and as soon as he heard the shots, he began running. When he came back, he saw the victim dead. Reporting detectives asked what door the offender exited the vehicle from, and he stated front passenger. Reporting detectives told him that he previously stated the rear door. Redacted then stated it had been so long that he wasn't certain which door. He just knows the offender exited the vehicle. Reporting detectives asked if he could identify the subject he observed, and he stated that he could. He stated that he recognized the guy from the neighborhood. Reporting detectives asked why he never told original detectives this info, and he replied that it's against the code. He stated that this was why he was meeting reporting detectives in a public parking lot so no one would see him talking to the police at his residence. He stated that he knows the guy is dead, that the streets took care of it, so it was okay to talk about it now. Redacted agreed to view a photo array, and he identified Redacted as the individual who shot and killed the victim, Tony McCoy. Reporting detectives asked if there were other occupants in the vehicle, and he stated that he knows there was a driver and possibly someone in the rear, but he was not certain and would be unable to identify anyone else. Photo arrays were inventoried under inventory number listed. Redacted had nothing more to add, and the interview was terminated. On December 23rd, 2019, reporting detectives visited Redacted at her residential address of Redacted was an eyewitness to this incident. Redacted essentially told the same story that she had told the previous detectives. She stated that this was an extremely traumatic experience for her and her son. She stated that she wishes that she could help identify the individual responsible for this, but the truth is that she was ducking down to avoid the gunfire. She said that she saw the individual exit the vehicle with the gun. But once the gunfire began, she dove to the bushes with her son. Reporting detectives asked why the victim's mother believes that she can identify the shooter, and she stated that she isn't sure why. She stated that they lived in the same apartment complex and she would see her frequently. Afterwards, she offered her condolences and told the victim's mother what she had seen. She stated that she understands as a mother that the woman just wants answers. Redacted stated that she moved from the area because it was too traumatic and seeing the victim's mother was just hurtful. Redacted had nothing else to add, so reporting detectives concluded the interview. On January 9th, 2020, reporting detectives located eyewitness Redacted at his residential address of Redacted, Chicago, Illinois. Reporting detectives explained the reason for this visit, and Redacted was willing to discuss the incident. Redacted explained that he was leaving the gas station driving westbound on 47th Street when he observed a blue car heading eastbound pull over. Upon pulling over, a man exited the vehicle and immediately began shooting at some men who were walking. The men began to run, but it appeared that one was struck by the initial gunfire and he fell to the ground. The offender then walked up to him as he was on the ground and fired a shot at his head. The offender walked back to the vehicle and they drove off, driving past Redacted vehicle. Redacted stated that he observed the driver had dreads or braids in his hair, but he would not be able to positively identify anyone in the offending vehicle. Redacted had nothing else to add, and reporting detectives terminated the interview. February 20th, 2020, reporting detectives met with Redacted at her residence located at Redacted. Reporting detectives explained the reason for the visit being that she observed the individuals burning the vehicle on the day of this occurrence. Redacted stated that she vaguely remembers this incident and that she was on the third floor looking out of the window when she observed it. Redacted stated that she was too far away to identify anyone back then, and now she definitely could not remember anyone. She had nothing else to add, and reporting detectives thanked her for her time and terminated the interview. In summary, Redacted states that he was a rear seat passenger riding in the vehicle to buy narcotics with both Redacted, who he identifies as the individual who he observed shoot and kill the victim, Tony McCoy, and with Redacted, who he identifies as the person who was driving the vehicle. Redacted describes how immediately afterwards they drove to a lot around 60 something in Cottage Grove where they were met by a friend of Redacted. Redacted attempted to burn the vehicle. During this attempt, Redacted partially set himself on fire as the vehicle ignited but did not completely burn. They all ran off and were driven away in the vehicle of Redacted's friend. Redacted was an eyewitness to the shooting, and she positively identified Redacted as the individual who shot and killed Tony McCoy, and Redacted as the individual she observed driving away. Redacted was an eyewitness and also a victim in this incident. He positively identified Redacted as the individual who he observed exit a blue Chrysler and begin to shoot at him and the victim, Tony McCoy, ultimately killing him, McCoy. Redacted was standing next to the victim, and Redacted identified Redacted as the individual he observed exit a blue Chrysler and shoot and kill Tony McCoy. Redacted observed individuals set fire to what we now know to be the vehicle used, describing 4 M1s and one with braids or dreads, and observing them run down an alleyway, corroborating Redacted's story of 4 individuals being present while burning the vehicle. In conclusion, it is the contention of the reporting detective that this investigation has proven to the satisfaction of the Chicago Police Department that on July 16, 2011, Redacted shot Tony McCoy, ultimately causing his death at 1149 East 47th Street. Both Redacted and Redacted are dead. Redacted was a homicide victim on March 14, 2014 at 415 East 51st Street, documented under RD number listed. Redacted was a homicide victim on November 10, 2011 at 5630 South LaSalle Street, documented under RD number listed. Based on these facts, reporting detectives request that this case be exceptionally clear, closed, death of offenders. Detective Matthews, number 20032. And that takes us down to the end of that case. Wow, what an exciting case that was, man. I learned some very interesting details. I mean, these 2 individuals that are deceased, who they are accusing of this crime. So, thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Peace.